Yeah, still recovering from last weekend's incredible concert, our first concert here at Idea Farm. Yeah, thanks again so much to everyone who was involved, especially David, who just worked his arse off all day, setting everything up and making it all happen, basically. Here I am, standing in the kind of aftermath wreckage of the studio after that. But something very important is in 3 weeks I have an album session here. And there are still a few little gremlins that I want to iron out with the keyboards. So this week I am going to continue my quest to get everything working perfectly in here. Possibly on my own, possibly with some help. We'll have to wait and see if that happens. But yeah, sit back and enjoy seeing me trying to fix keyboards again. All right, please subscribe. And let's see how this goes. Okay, well, at the gig on Saturday, we used the Vox Continental on stage, which was really cool. One of the notes, I think it was the E flat, was being weird. I just turned it on and it's completely fine. So that just is how it goes with these really old organs. They just have good days and bad days. So that one kind of fixed itself. I then moved on to the Hammond, which the only thing that was wrong with it was that the top Leslie cone seemed to be clicking. It turned out just to be a loose screw down here, so now it's all kind of balanced and it's not clicking anymore. But somehow, at some stage, I mean, it's very dusty, but yeah, at some point of me tightening that screw, it stopped making sound. The Leslie stopped making sound. The actual main organ still works, but yeah, nothing in the Leslie. This tube, which I think is a voltage regulator tube, kind of diode kind of thing, OC3, it was actually glowing white, which is extremely strange. And it's kind of loose, and I looked online and it seems like a white glowing tube has lost its vacuum. Maybe someone out there knows better than the internet, but yeah, so I think I'm just going to kind of put this on pause for a bit. I'll try and find a new OC3 tube. Not sure how easy that's going to be. I'm scared of this because it's very high voltages in there. In fact, I think this cable is sometimes referred to as the death cable or something, because there's like 600 volts in it. Yeah, anyway, moving on. The next thing I'm going to try is the Cembalet. I have new caps for the power supply. I have one of the new tubes. I'm not sure it needs two new tubes, but I have one new tube for it. There's a few kind of loose connections and stuff. The jack socket is a weird old DIN thing. I'm going to replace that with a normal jack. I'm going to regulate all of the pluckers so they pluck nicely. And yeah. And then I'll see how it sounds, see if it magically fixes itself. Also coming up, if I have time, I might try and tune the Electra piano because it's a bit funky. I have new tips for the Clavinet, so I will put those on and see if that magically fixes it, because we did a few weeks ago, me and Mikey spent quite a while on the amp and we seemed to get it working. It definitely sounds way better with a battery rather than using a power supply, because it's quite noisy with a power supply. According to the schematic, it's 6 volts. This is a Clavinet 1, like the first one. But as far as we can see, it's actually identical. The circuit's identical to the later ones, which use 9-volt batteries. So I wrote to the guy in Holland who's kind of the expert on this stuff. He said a 9-volt battery is fine. So I'm going to put a 9-volt battery connector in it. I'm going to re-tip it, and hopefully that will kind of bring it to life. The big one, the big one, which I definitely won't get done this week, is the Rhodes. That might be like a whole week's work or a whole week of evenings work. It needs, there's lots of lost motion. That's a start. It's missing one tine inside, which I have a replacement for. I'm going to start with this thing and getting all the keys to be the same height and everything, just so it feels nice to play, and then I'll see how that goes. Alright, Cembalet time. Okay, well, I've just changed the one tube that I had a spare for, and it's definitely, I'm sure, I don't remember it working at all actually. So it's kind of working now. There's a bit of a hiss, which I think maybe will be improved when I replace those caps there, and the power, the jack socket, and then I think that's just, I don't know. That's something to do with the pickup. There's a tool in here. This tool. That tool there, that tool, if you can see that, that is for bending. Wow, listen to that. That mad interference that the camera makes. Kind of beautiful. Yeah, that tool there is for bending the pickups. Not sure if you can see that, but maybe in a minute when I take this all to bits. Not bad, alright. Okay, I've got to kind of build this thing, this kind of array of capacitors and resistor. I've got to build them the same way, and I'll probably go and do that at the electronics bench because it will be easier. Okay. My biggest challenge with all of this is just how bad my eyes are. It sucks. It really makes it feel kind of impossible. Okay, well let's just see what happens if I turn it back on now. That's fixed it. Okay, well, I managed to change the it's so noisy. I managed to change the jack socket. Suddenly it's got a lot more noisy. I mean, I still need to sort the keys out, but I don't know. It's got a lot more noisy. I'm not sure why. But maybe I'll just pause on that bit and I will try and do the kind of regulation so that it all plays nicely. And then maybe someone with better knowledge of this stuff can try and figure out what that noise is all about. So that whistling, that's still the camera, or maybe it's the gimbal, I'm not sure. It's incredibly noisy. So I feel like this is some kind of grounding issue, all this noise, because it's super open all of a sudden. What am I going to do? I think the only way to do it really is to take off these dampers, because otherwise you can't really see anything. So I'm going to go along and I'm going to take off the dampers. I know my uncle's probably screaming at the screen now, but yeah, I think that's the only way to do it. So I will investigate. Maybe I'll do a few of the low ones first, see if I can take these off and then adjust where the pluckers pluck the tine, the reed. Alright. Okay. I took off 2 of these and then I realised that's completely not what to do. I already knew that these little sledge things here are what push the plucker against the reed or within plucking distance of the reed, and so all I've really done just now is I've gone along and I have adjusted these pluckers and the dampers. You can just kind of bend the dampers so that as soon as, quite hard to explain and very hard to film, but as soon as the little plucker goes back down, the rubber bit bends out of the way and the damper lands on top. If you have one of these, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. I think it's important that the damper lands on the reed exactly as the plucker hits it on the way back down. It's not perfect, and it's still noisy as hell and picking up all kinds of interference. But it seems to be pretty even now across the keyboard. But there's still something up with it, because if you play chords, it doesn't matter how quiet I have this, it's just really noisy, it's just distorted. If you do low chords, you get this kind of mental sort of ring modulation. So I think there's still something up with the amp, clearly. Because this, I mean, it sounds cool when it's driven. It's a sort of... that sort of vibe. I mean, that's the most famous song, I think, from the Cembalet, is the Stranglers' No More Heroes. But sometimes you probably want this to sound very sweet. Which it kind of does. But you should be able to play a low chord without it sounding like that. So I think what I'll do, I'll pause on this, knowing that I have at least improved the playing of it. It actually plays now, but the amp side of things, I'm going to have to wait for someone to come and save me. Alright, do I dare try and tune the Electra piano? I could give it a go. My uncle sent me a couple of reeds from England, which I can try to put in there. See if I can get to the right pitch. God. Okay, wish me luck. Okay, so the Electra piano. This was it's just this G key, which is problematic and just sounds very, very quiet and kind of dead. And a few weeks ago, I did experiment quite a lot with swapping out the pickup from different keys and lots of different things, and the conclusion I came to was that there was just something about this reed which was just not very happy, just wasn't working. And so my uncle sent me 2 of these, and they're very long, and apparently they're very rare, very hard to find. I think they are for a pianette, because on the bag it says, oh no, it says Electra piano reeds. Okay, so I don't know why they are square like this, but they are. The ones that are in my piano, I think, are all slightly triangular. This is the one next to it. This is the F sharp, just below the G. And I also remember at the time feeling like somebody had basically swapped out the wrong size reed and just tried to add loads of solder onto it to make it lower, and it just wasn't working. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to base this on the one below it, and I'm just going to start clipping bits off the end of this and see if I can get it anywhere close, and then put it back in and see how it sounds. I suppose I could do it here. I would go to the workshop, but yeah, I'll go and get my big wire cutters, because this is really hard stuff. I don't even know if I can cut this with wire cutters. Anyway, let's see. Okay, I tried filing it into a triangular shape, but that really didn't work. So I've now trimmed another little bit off. We're at D sharp. I think I'm just going to trim tiny bits off until I get to G. And it's sounding all right, really. Let's just keep going. Tiny little nibbles. Okay, good news. It's not totally perfect. It's still really out of tune, and it's quieter. These ones down here have white hammers, which, I mean, it's so hard to see what's going on in there, but these ones have white hammers, which sound really nice. And as soon as you get to this bit, that hits right in the middle of the reed, right in the middle, right in the middle, in the middle, off to the edge of the reed, and it's worn out as well, the hammer. That hits in the middle of the reed now. I think once it's in tune, it'll be alright. Oh, bloody thing, why do I care about these things so much? Okay, I'm going to have some lunch, and while I'm eating lunch I will figure out the best method for tuning these reeds. I think I remember my uncle saying that you can actually lift this entire action out. I am really just making this up as I go along. There are no other videos, as far as I can see on the internet, about how to do anything to these pianos. So I do vaguely remember my uncle saying that you could pull this out. So this is his thing. I think this is what he meant. That if you undo these screws here, you can lift this thing out. It's so heavy. I think these are lead, these weights, so it's incredibly heavy. What I've done is I've lifted it out and put it on a couple of blocks. This cable is very long and flappy, so that makes me think that this is what you're supposed to do. I've clamped it on the lid there, so basically I can get underneath now and access all of the reeds. I have to say that on initial inspection, sorry if this is very bright, I'm wearing my head torch, it's hard to see, there is a bit of rust on the tips of a lot of these, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was what was making them flat. So possibly this will clean up a bit, and then maybe I can tune it that way. I don't know. I don't know if this is the best way to go. Maybe I should try and lie it on its back. Shit, I think I need 2 people for this. How else could you do this? I could lie it on its back like that, clamp there. It would be less of a weird overhang here. I'd be able to really very easily see the reeds. I'd be able to take them on and off. That's the thing. Okay, let me see if Elsa's still around. More like this kind of thing, much better. Yeah, I managed to disconnect the bottom octave, but the bottom octave was actually pretty good, I seem to remember. But in a minute I'll try and figure out where that is. But it's switched on. It works now. So all I've got to do is work my way along and tune each reed. I've put some cloth down here to protect any filings and stuff falling in. So yeah, let's do it. This pad of whatever metal this is that's welded on, this is quite easy to file away, which I guess is one reason they used it. Yeah, so those 4 are good now. All right. Can you see this? I've added a little bit of solder. This is probably going to be too flat now. Yeah. So I need to now grind this back up to A sharp. Cool. Good enough. Okay, I think it's all in tune except for the new G. Unfortunately, we've lost this octave again, which was actually the problem right in the very beginning. I think it might just be a cable that's come loose at some point, a bit like this one. So I will now put it back together, tune this G, well, put it back together, try and fix the missing octave, and whew, yeah. Well, at least it's in tune. Sweet. That one is still a little bit quiet. That one's also a bit quiet. I don't know. It's in tune. It's got a vibe. It'll be useful for something. Okay, next up, the clavinet. Right, so I've taken out the keyboard for the clavinet. Quite easy, just 4 screws. And as you can see, the tips are completely crumbled to horrible sticky goop. Like they just break off. And this is what 55 euros of new clavinet tips looks like. Hard to believe, but they are a certain type of rubber and cut to a certain size. So I'm going to re-watch the Vintage Vibe instructional video on how to change these, but it basically just needs a really good clean. There's a few like little bits of the old hammer tips lodged in there, and yeah, I'm just going to give it a good clean. I think you have to actually prise these open, these little things, dig out all the old stuff and put in a new tip. Alright, let's see how this goes. So I've done a few. This seems to work pretty good. This is just like I got this free set of mini screwdrivers a few weeks ago when I bought something from the electronics store, and this is just the flathead, medium-sized flathead screwdriver, and it's about the same width as these little holders, and you can just get in there and dig all this crap out. It's pretty amazing how, I guess like 60 or so years ago, this would have been solid rubber, and now it literally is like, it's like chewing gum. It's like extra sticky chewing gum. So yeah, just digging this all out. Funny to think that 65 years ago somebody installed these tips and they were really nice and hard, and I think this is actually a common thing with a lot of Hohner and probably other keyboards, but certainly I know from talking to people over the years, Hohner seems to have had real problems with the longevity of its rubber stuff. I think a lot of their keyboards rely on a certain consistency and stickiness of rubber tips and stuff, and I think a lot of them have just all turned to kind of goop over the years. And it's funny to think that there was like a whole industry building this stuff, and little did they know that it was just a ticking time bomb. It's so crazily sticky, this stuff. It's sort of, oh god, it's sort of like I don't know, it's a bit like mastic or something, but very kind of gooey, like hard and gooey. Okay, all hoovered out. So it's actually pretty simple, it seems. Hold that there to keep it steady, and just can open up the little cage. Still so much gunk in there. There is still a bit of goop in there on some of them, but I think maybe that would actually even glue them in a little bit. Okay, so they're all pushed all the way down, which I guess is important. And then you just clamp them shut. Yeah, alright, I'll just crack on with this. Okay, the moment of truth. Are you going to work? Are you going to sound? Alright, well, we can put a battery in. Something's coming out of the speaker. That's a good sign. I mean, that should be loud as hell. Noisy, clicky, not funky. Well, it's definitely better than it was. But I think because the strings run at this kind of very kind of acute angle, it's actually not as important how left and right the hammers are. It's more how far backwards and forwards. So I think I just got to spend a bit of time now. I'll mark all the keys that are a bit off, and then I'll just try bending the hammers a little bit forward or backwards depending on how they look, and see if I can get a clearer sound for each note like that. But it is really quiet. This could be a tedious process, so maybe I won't film too much of this. Let's see. I don't know. Okay, I've been kind of researching a bit. The kind of popping when you take your finger off the key, when it releases and it makes this loud pop. I think that a lot of that could be that there's still some sticky shit on the strings. So I've given them a really good scrub with some acetone and Q-tips, and it's feeling a lot better now. I think it's possible that some of that sticky shit was transferred actually onto the tips themselves, the new ones. I don't want to put acetone on these for obvious reasons. I do think that, not sure if you can see this, but I do think that some of the kind of the casting of these tips is pretty crappy. Like, there's lots of kind of flashing on the sides. I can't imagine that is going to help. pretty amazing for €50. So I'm just going to tidy up the tips a little bit. I'm just going to trim off that flashing. And then I thought I would, somebody else online suggested this. I'll put a little bit of Teflon, this is just like Teflon spray, which I've sprayed into a cup. And then I'm just going to dab that onto each hammer so that it's very non-sticky, basically. And I'll see if that makes any difference. Alright, so I'll trim up the flashing and then I'll Teflon the fuckers. I put Teflon grease on this first set, and it's pretty nice and quiet. This is what it was like before. That big click. It's not on all of them, but this is quiet. Like that. But it's getting usable. Okay, so I'm gonna keep on trimming. Like, that's really bad. I'm gonna keep on trimming and Tefloning, and then I'll see you in a second. Seems to work really well. Okay, let me finish tuning it. Okay, I'm halfway through. You try and turn it and it flexes, so you don't know, you have no tactile feedback at all. And I'm pretty sure this was like at least €10. This is junk. I wonder if it's just that this little 9-volt battery can't make as much juice as all of these big guys. Even though this was 6 volts, this is 9 volts. Okay, I figured it out. I was using the wrong output, and now it's still very hissy, but it's actually not too bad. Okay, I'm going to start on the Rhodes. Right, here we are. Now, I really don't expect to be able to get this totally done this week. I don't even really know everything that's wrong with it, but I have a kind of good idea. It does play, and it sounds great. The main thing that's up with it is that it's really horrible to play on because there's so much lost motion. You can't play lightly because the hammers just don't respond. So you have to play quite hard, and all the keys are so wobbly that yeah, it's a bit of a battle to get sound out of it. I've ordered a whole load of parts from Holland, from Vintage Vibe via Holland. And I'm going to watch the videos, the Vintage Vibe videos, and I'm going to try and fix this. Right, no time to lose. Oh, Christ. It's away for now. I'm going to do what's known as the miracle mod on this piano, and it means I have to take off these. I mean, really, I'm just following the Vintage Vibe tutorial online. So yeah, this is definitely no tutorial because I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just following that guide. So if you want to do this yourself, I reckon you should go and watch that. Anyway, or stay watching this. And give me a bit of moral support here. So I have started performing what is known as the Miracle Mod. Kind of ridiculous name, but I steamed off the red felt that was on this block here, and I've glued on this little red bump in this position, and it does, compared to the one next to it, which doesn't have the little bump, this one feels very snappy. It's kind of cool. You can see how the Rhodes action works. Pulls the damper away as the hammer goes up. Very simple, very elegant. Yeah, so now I have to go and do the far end, the lowest key, same little bump, and then I believe we just draw a line straight down. So I seem to remember from the video. There's the video, I'm watching the video. Alright, I'll do the low key and then I'll come back to you. Just some water on there. A couple of times. That smells so good. It's that old kind of guitar amp smell, fish glue. So much crap in here. I'm really going to hoover this out. There we go. Wow, that needs a damn good clean. Okay. Okay, I've just cleaned all of the pedestals and I've scribed a line using part of the Rhodes here, the front plate thing. I've scribed a line between the bottom one and the top one, and with a bit of luck that should show us where I need to put the rest of the little bumps. Okay. Right, so I've made a start. Weirdly, or whatever, I don't know, the kit came with wood glue, and I've been emailing them in Holland about why everywhere else online does it say that this should be done with contact cement, and they've sent me wood glue. They replied saying wood glue works fine, but as far as I could see, the important thing is to get a tight contact around the little bump so that it really kind of sticks, so it's not like floating over it, it's actually stuck down around it, so you get a kind of good amount of definition. And to use wood glue to do that, the only way I could see to do it, I did the second one with wood glue, was sitting there for 10 minutes or so with my thumbnails dug in around that little lump to make sure that it stuck down, and that's going to be 730 minutes. So I went out and I bought a new tube, or 2 new tubes. I thought I'd try a couple of different brands of contact cement so that I can do 6 at a time, and it's just way quicker. So yeah, I'm just going to stick with contact cement. Seems to work, it's what it says online. So yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to get all of this done today, but I might be able to do this, and then I can edit the video, and yeah. Right, I'm going to have to leave it there. It's 10 to 2 on Sunday. And I have to edit this video now. Yeah, that was all right. Next week I have to do a lot of tiling. Not very glamorous, but it's going to look very good. So I will possibly try and just finish this off in the evenings, that kind of thing, because it would be cool if this was ready for when I do the album session in a couple of weeks. All right, thank you very much for watching what may have been quite a long, slow, relaxing video. Please subscribe, and I will see you again next week. Lots of love, look after each other, and goodbye.